introduce y'all to the world of the Pink Princess Philodendron. This plant derives out of Colombia, and I wanted to show you, this is what the plant looks like naturally. This is just a basic philodendron, not basic at all, she's beautiful, but you can see the difference in the leaves and why this would be such a rare specimen. All of these plants are grown at a grower through tissue cultures, and so that's why it's really hard to find them, because they don't occur naturally. This is something that happened in a greenhouse, and they took the cutting from that one kind of a fluke type leaf, and then they cultivated it and tissue cultured it, and they're growing more and more and more. So until that becomes more of a mainstream plant, it's considered rare at this point. So it is a little bit more pricey. This one was about $25 at our local store, H-E-B, and it did come with this really super cute little pot, and it has like sort of a soft pink speckling on it. So, and I really like it a lot. It really works with the plant very well. So these plants enjoy being in indirect bright light, so I would put it by a south facing window. Any sun that would hit this, it would burn leaves right away. As far as soil, you want to keep the soil moist but not wet. So you want to let all of that water drain out, and only water when it gets to about 2 inches. When you stick your finger in there and it's dry, then you water it. 2 inches down, it should be dry. So, and you never want water to sit in this pot. There's no holes in the pot, so you don't want water to sit in there. Because it will rot out the roots. If you have like a diamond bit drill, you can also make a hole in there just in case, as a little safety precaution. So, but I would just go ahead and water it like this. So as far as water is concerned, if you can avoid using tap water on these, it's best. Because if you use that our tap water at least, has a lot of chlorine and minerals in it that will eventually, the leaves will get really brown and curled. It won't look good. If you have an aquarium or a pond, that's also a really great way to water your plants. Of course, rainwater is always best. So if and when we do get rain, if you can capture some of that rain and use that to water any of your house plants, it's the best thing for them. So as far as fertilizing these guys, I'm going to top it off with some worm castings and water those in. And then I'll also take a little bit of Super Thrive that I love. I use that on most of my house plants, and go ahead and do like a very light watering of that. Like I just put like maybe a couple of drops per half gallon of my little watering can. Just every time that I water it, it'll get a little bit of fertilizer. Nothing crazy, but just enough to keep it happy in this little pot. Because you know the nutrients in the soil will eventually deplete, so you want to just keep that soil and the microbes alive and fed. So the temperature that you would want to keep this at is between 55 and 75 degrees, which is a good household temperature. However, this plant here has been outside on my patio under a covered patio, no direct sunlight, in triple digits, and I didn't realize how big it actually has gotten. But I mean there's a few, maybe 2 to 3 feet worth of growth on here that I could either train. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm just gonna cut parts off and just make a whole new plant. I mean it's giant. I didn't realize how big it had gotten. But you could see, like, I could stake that piece and let it continue to grow up the pole here. But there's so much growth, I could totally make like another 2 or 3 plants out of this. So it's resilient. I mean, even in the triple digits, as long as it's not in the direct sunlight, because you will fry this thing. There's a few little crispy leaves here, but I think this may have just been something that I'm not really sure what happened here. It could just be maybe lack of water, or maybe the water from the hose got on it and it didn't like that. So I do have like just two leaves that are brown, so I'll forgive myself on that one. I'm gonna actually soak this one in the pond water. So I'll scoop out a 5-gallon bucket of water. I'll submerge this whole pot in there and just let it soak. And then it'll stay moist for about a week. before I have to re-water it. So I'll plan on doing that with this one as well. And I think, let's see, it was doing so good. So another thing about this vine is that it's an epiphyte. So these actually naturally grow up trees, and they survive on the water and the moisture that's in the air. That's what epiphytic or an epiphyte is. So all of these little tendrils here will eventually just grasp on to a tree or whatever it's attached to, and it'll just continue to grow up. So they do enjoy growing more up than down. And I think if I had this staked properly, I'd probably have a lot bigger leaves on it. But it's still thriving and doing great. But this one I'm gonna stake, and I'm gonna let her grow up. And as she gets bigger and starts shooting out some viable leaves that I can propagate, then I'll go ahead and take those off and make more plants. So when you're propagating these and you cut them, just be aware that the sap inside is bright red. So it kind of freaked me out in the beginning when I did it because I thought I cut myself, but it is a bright red sap and it will stain. So if you're wearing anything that's white or light color, and it gets on it, it's gonna stain. And also keep in mind that these are very toxic to humans, kids, pets. So please don't eat them for any reason. If you have kids that, are in that age group that they might eat odd things like plants, go ahead and put this up high where they can't reach it. And I know a lot of people have dogs and cats that will actually eat this. And we have Charlotte, our potbelly pig, so obviously I want to keep this away from her because she'll definitely eat it and we don't want her getting sick. I haven't had any problems with my dogs eating any plants, but I know a lot of people do, and I know cats tend to do that. We don't have cats either, so. But if you do, know that this is very toxic and be very safe. Let's keep our babies safe. So a lot of the leaves, they're variegated, but they can actually revert back to their original green. So later on, as this plant matures, these leaves will and can go back to just being green. So if that happens, just know that that's very common because that's the stronger plant, is the original plant. This is just something that kind of happened and they caught it and they tissue cultured it and they're producing more, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it would be the stronger of the leaves on this plant. So just be aware of that. And I think that's also why a lot of these plants are smaller when you get them, because as they grow, the new growth is the one that tends to have the more variegated pink leaf. So you can see how small this is. So as it gets bigger, I'll probably just go ahead and keep propagating it, give it to people, friends, and things like that. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure you knew that if it does just go back to green, it's not you, it's the plant. So also just remember that this is a tropical plant. It likes temperatures between 55 and 75 and indirect bright light, not sun. Keep the soil moist but not wet. So I just want to go over that with you guys so we can try to take care of these and keep Austin gardening. All right, thanks for watching, everybody.